Hey guys, welcome to Programmer Guide. Now I'll discuss about the journey from DevOps to DevSecOps. First of all, we need to know about the Agile methodology. Agile is not a technology, it's just a practice of a software development. This helps us through a collaborative effort of self-organizing and cross-functional team for a software development lifecycle. So let's say we need to develop a big software which may take around 6 months of time of complete development. If we go by any waterfall model, it is always very risky because it may reaches to the stage after 6 months when we give a customer demo or when we go for a customer handover. Customer may say, okay, whatever you are delivering, it's not fulfilling our requirement, and the expectations of the customers may be different than what we are trying to deliver. So that's always having a much more risk. So for that, to mitigate this issue, what we have taken, we just need to break down the entire task into a smaller part, which will reduce the load of a developer, and it can reduce the risk between the customer and the developer. Actually, Agile can be viewed as a addressing the communication gap between customer and the developer, reducing the requirement risk with the customer expectations. So for that, instead of using complete 6 months time and complete the milestone, we rather take smaller chunk of work and reach the milestone. When we are delivering a smaller chunk of works, let's say we are taking a timeline of 2 weeks or 1 week of time and delivering a small chunk of work, that's the work is called a single sprint. In each and every single sprint, we'll completely develop, plan and test the complete module. After that, we will deploy the software. Thereafter, we will give a demo to either in the customer or the stakeholder and reach a certain milestone. If the customer or the stakeholder gives some feedback, we will take the feedback and use it for the next cycle. That cycle is called sprint 2. That way, one by one, we'll reach the milestone and complete the software. When we reach it after 6 months, the software is much more efficient and as well as acceptable by the customer. So in the complete life cycle of the development, we always take the customer feedback, so which will reduce the risk of a failure software. Here we can see how waterfall model used to deliver a complete software package. So here you can see the risk is always very high and the milestone we can reach at the end of the complete development cycle. But here you can see in the agile methodology, after a certain time, let's say in a 2 weeks or 3 weeks of time span, we reach one milestone, and with this milestone we'll complete the entire software, which is much more acceptable way. Now coming to the DevOps. DevOps is a set of practice that combine the software development and IT operations. Actually, DevOps and Agile complementing each other. So most of the steps from DevOps actually taken from the Agile methodology, where Agile can be viewed as addressing the communication between the customer and developer, but DevOps address the gap between the developer and the IT operation and infrastructure. It aims to shorten the system development life cycle and provide continuous delivery with a high software quality. Now DevOps contains certain steps. And left side, all the steps defined by a software development, and right side, all the steps defined by operational life cycle. So you can think about when a development life cycle it starts with the planning. That means requirement gathering. After that, coding, that's a development work. Once the code is completed, we'll do a build. Once the build is completed, after that, we go for a quality assurance or some testing. Once the testing is completed, it is ready to release. Once it is released, we can go ahead and deploy that one in productions. Thereafter, operator can start using the complete software. Whenever they find some issues or some enhancement required, continuously they provide some feedback and monitor the system. When we receive the feedback, we'll do a planning, do coding, do building. After that, same way, this closed loop automations is always ongoing. Okay. So if you think about different kind of tool which is used in DevOps, so here we are showing very popular tools used in different step of DevOps. For coding, we can use some SVN. Apart from that, for tracking, we can use Jira. For code review, we can use Confluence. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just some popular tool which we are using nowadays. I'm just trying to list out all these things. Even for the build, we use Maven. Some testing, we can use Selenium, JUnit. For release, we can use Jenkins. The similar way we can do for operations as well. For the next slide, we can see that this is much more exhaustive list, but this is not the only tools. There will be much more tool available because it's depending on the project requirement. Maybe in the coding cycle, somebody is using Java, somebody using Python, somebody using Node.js. It's depending on the different kind of coding. They need different kind of tools to do their development. Similar way, for the different kind of tool can be used for building, for deployment, even for the monitoring, for the operation as well. Now DevOps is very tightly used for developers and as well as the operator. Also, one part is covered in DevOps as well, that is QA. QA is quality assurance. Now with this process, we are always missing one activity, that is security. Although we are doing planning, coding, building, testing, everything we are doing, but we are not concentrating on the security part of this complete life cycle of the development as well as the operations. So that's the part. Now we'll look into it, and altogether we say it as DevSecOps. So DevOps is not just about development and operational team. If you want to take full advantage of the agile and the responsiveness of DevOps approach, IT security must also play an integrated role in full life cycle of your application development. Now the question is why? Earlier days, the role of the security was isolated to a specific team in the final stage of the development. This was not problematic when development cycle was last for more than months as well as sometimes years. But those era is already gone. Effective DevOps ensure a rapid and frequent development life cycle. Now in the collaborative frameworks of DevOps, security is shared responsibility, integrated from end-to-end development. It is the mindset that is so important to emphasize and need to build the security foundations in DevOps from the very beginning, which will amplify the DevOps responsiveness and effectiveness much more better way than only using DevOps steps. DevOps means thinking about the application and infrastructure security from the start. So it is a good habit, not a new step in DevOps. So there are multiple tools are available in the market right now for ensuring the security of your software. It's always depends on software to software. We can use different tool to ensure different level of security. So here I have listed couple of tools, but this is not the exhaustive list. There are multiple security tools available in the market. Some are open source, some are commercials. So depending on your development need, you may need to choose different kind of tools. So from now on, always use DevSecOps, not DevOps. So thank you everyone. I will create different tutorials video for different DevOps tools as well as security tool. Hope to see you in different tutorials video.